Hi, I'm Kylie, and I wanted to get on here and say that just because you're a person of color and you side with conservative white people does not make them like you anymore. As someone who grew up in a conservative white area, I can tell you pretty confidently that there are only 4 reasons that most white people have a friend of color. Number 1 is so that they can say that they aren't racist, and they can tokenize you and say that you're one of the good ones while also giving themselves some sort of social credit. Number 2, they like to have people around that they feel that they are smarter or better than in some way. They almost see their friends of color as sort of sidekicks when they're the main character. I think it's disrespectful to put somebody into that role and not recognize their own individuality. Number 3, they keep you around to make fun of you or say things behind your back. And again, the whole tokenizing look, oh, he doesn't act, insert race here, which probably results in more comparison between you and other in-group members. And number 4, just to have somebody around. Please don't fall into this trap of thinking that just because you say the things that they want and you hang out with them, that they will ever fully include you. Because most racists will never see you on the same level as them because they feel they are superior. Just a bad situation to be in.
Candace Owens went on camera and gave this emotional tribute, saying, "Charlie Kirk was my best friend, my ride or die, but here is the thing. People online immediately started questioning her sincerity. Why? Because Candace has built her entire career on performance. She's not just a person sharing grief. She's a public figure who knows how to turn every situation into political moments. Then, people are now asking, is this real grief or is it another art to keep her relevance alive now that her closest political partner is gone?" On TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook, people are calling her out. Some says she's making this about herself instead of Charlie. Others are pointing out on how conservatives always express sympathy when it's about them. Where is Candace? When immigrants die in detention center, where is her emotional tribute? But when her best friend suddenly passes, the whole world should stop and honor him. That double standard is what makes people angry. So, when Candace tried to package this as a personal tragedy, people are asking, what about all the people who suffered from the politics you both punished?
They want us to humanize Charlie Kirk now that he's gone. But let's be real, he spent his entire life denying humanity to literally everyone else. So don't expect softness now. This man wasn't just a conservative talking head. He called the Civil Rights Act a mistake. He said Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was nothing more than a DEI hire. He smeared Dr. King, mocked Black professionals, stoked fear of immigrants, and spent every breath turning white grievance into a brand. That's not political disagreement. That's a career built on stripping dignity away from entire groups of people. And here's the thing, right? The second he's gone, suddenly people want compassion. Suddenly it's about his family, his humanity, his legacy. Where was that energy when he was tearing ours down? When he was spitting on the humanity of Black people, Latinos, immigrants, queer folks? We're supposed to forget the damage because the man is dead? Death doesn't erase the harm. Death doesn't clean a record. And let's not pretend that that shot was sloppy rage. It was too clean. It was too sharp. Whoever did it knew exactly what they were doing. And the irony is that Charlie worshipped that same culture of guns and violence. He fed it. He amplified it. And it came back for him. That's not karma. That's America. So no, I'm not going to rewrite his story into something soft. The only sympathy that I have is for his children, because they didn't ask for his poison. But for Charlie Kirk, he made it his life's mission to divide, belittle, and dehumanize. And that's exactly how history should remember him. Not as a victim, not as a martyr, but as the hateful man that he chose to be. I think it's time to meet one of my puppies. This is Cooks. This is Cooks. Me Cookie. Aw, me Cookie. That's my boy. That's my boy.
Good morning, guys, and there we have it. 3 days ago, before Erica's speech, I made a video responding to Candace Owens' video, and I said something bigger is happening because I noticed a shift in Candace's content and Charlie's content. I said he's starting to just grow up and mature, both biblically, with biblical literacy, as well as emotionally. Just when you get life experience, you start to realize, okay, everything these people are not telling me is true. And so you guys can go watch that video. It's called Candace Owens Times by Charlie Kirk, ex-Charlie Kirk. So
Candace Owens says Charlie Kirk was fighting with some very powerful billionaires that he took money from over things he was discussing. This is not new and this does not surprise me. If he was allowed to be in the campaign room like that, I know he was taking money from powerful billionaires. The same powerful billionaires that donate to both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. This is why they support the same things, kind of, right? So they'll tell you, the Democratic Party will tell you they support one thing, the Republican Party will tell you they support a different thing, but in the end, nothing changes because they're all being supported by billionaires, right? These are the people that she's talking about. There are people who, and let me be clear, because we are like, eat the rich. Y'all think the rich people are the CEOs and the people, your millionaires that live down the street. No, these are people who are well above that. So let me be clear about that. The pressure was immense on him over the last 2 weeks. What did we talk about? He went on Patrick David's show, he was on the Ben Shapiro show, and he was speaking about things at Turning Point that didn't align with his donors. And because what happens is, just like when your parents give you money, and they're like, I gave you money, so now I need to see my grandkids every single week. Or I bought this house so I can come over whenever I want. You know, that sort of attitude, that's exactly what happens, is that they own you in a way. The truth will be revealed, the messages will be leaked, and the movement will rise up. Yeah, we're coming into a very, very interesting place in politics where we're starting to realize that the veil has been lifted, left and right no more. There's something far deeper, and I don't know, people are talking about a civil war, and we're thinking, oh, it's gonna be black versus white or something like that. No, it's going to be the people who understand what is happening and the people who do not. The people who think our two-party system is awesome. No, our two-party system has been corrupted. It has been corrupted. That's why for the last 100 years, nothing has really changed. Things have gotten worse, actually. The two-party system is corrupted. It's corrupt. So anyway, you guys who are all in the comment section saying, yeah, we were right. We're right.
Netanyahu lied about the contents of the letter Charlie Kirk wrote to him in May. It was a lie by severe omission, and it isn't sitting right with me. Candace Owens has been coming on Twitter saying some rather interesting things, and I thought that I would share them with you so that we can talk about it. Something else that she posted September 13th said Charlie Kirk was fighting with some very powerful billionaires that he took money from over the things he was discussing. The pressure on him was immense over the last 2 weeks. The truth will be revealed. The messages will be leaked, and the movement, Charlie Kirk's movement, that he built will rise up. And then on September 12th, she tweeted, Discord has come out to tell us that the feds, the US FBI, are lying about Charlie Kirk's death. And basically the internet is just kind of going down these deep dives of what are the feds telling us? What is the FBI telling us? What is going on with Netanyahu and Trump? What are they tweeting? When are they tweeting it? Why are they tweeting it? And there are certain things that are questionable, to say the least, when you really get into it. Whether or not you agree with who Candace Owens is or what she stands for, if you put that aside and you just look at the information that she is providing, it's worth a discussion.
Candace Owens talked about her and Charlie's friendship after she started to support Palestine and he didn't. But she also talks about the fact that he was getting put pressure on him to not change his views. And if he did change his views, they wanted to take everything away from him.
And we laughed at how wrong it was when people thought that when I had made up my mind about Israel, that Charlie and me fell apart. Nope, never, not for a second. I said, it's the easiest decision ever, because Charlie knew who I was and I knew who he was. I said, Charlie, this is where I'm at, and there's no room for movement. And you tell your whoever that needs to hear it, whatever you need to tell them, because we're always going to be brothers and sisters. And I think my perspective was as it's been throughout our relationship. Like, you might not get it now, Charlie, but you will. I'm only a few years older than you, but I think you're gonna see things my way. And I think, in the end, Charlie was going through a spiritual transformation. I don't think it, I know it. He was going through a lot, and there was a lot of pressure. And it's hard for me to watch the people who were pressuring him, I don't know, just say the things that they're saying. You know, there's something about it that just feels really fake to me. And they would have allowed him to lose and wanted him to lose everything for changing or even slightly modifying an opinion.
Charlie Kirk was fighting with some very powerful billionaires that he took money from over things he was discussing. The pressure on him was immense over the last 2 weeks. The truth will be revealed, the messages will be leaked, and the movement he built will rise up. Consider the source. This is from Candace Owens, who also is claiming that the president of France's wife was born a man. You can pause and read this if you want, but Candace is literally claiming that her and Charlie Kirk are like brother and sister. Like, that's how close she's saying that there are. There's pictures of her and him and Kanye West. I'm kind of just like, dang, like, I'm surprised that she came out and said this. Like, I wonder if she asked the wife. A lot of people are saying like the wife, it's like a dog whistling thing. I honestly just think she's a grieving wife. Probably hasn't slept at all. So if the wife is acting a little weird, that's probably why. I wasn't going to comment on this, but then I saw Candace. I have no words. I don't know what to say.
Well, that has never happened before. I guess we could say Charlie broke the internet one more time. 150,000 of you guys were watching, and the system just sort of crashed. And it just really makes me happy that happened, actually. It was already very difficult for me to do this for a lot of reasons, but I knew it was important because I didn't want the last thing that people had in their minds about Charlie to be the moment he lost his life. That was what was especially hard because he's just had so many amazing moments throughout his career. And as I was saying, I was having this discussion with George this morning, obviously through a lot of tears, about not wanting Charlie's caricature to survive when the actual Charlie Kirk individual, who Charlie Kirk actually is so much more important. The caricature, the cartoon, is that Charlie's this young, smart guy, made a career out of debating college kids, decided not to go to college, started Turning Point USA, and I think a lot of people thought that Charlie must take himself a bit too seriously, and I want you guys to know that that could not be further from the truth. Charlie and me were always laughing. Yes, he was ambitious. Everybody knows Charlie's ambitious. I met him back in 2017 when Turning Point was this very young organization. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew who Charlie Kirk was. And Charlie was always wearing these really baggy suits. I mean, they looked like they were hand-me-downs from 3 generations because he was focused on the ideas. He didn't care about his appearance. He was laser-focused on what he knew Turning Point could become. Not could become, but would become. He hired me on the spot. We were at this conference in Florida. And he and I used to always say, we never said the rest was history. You know, the rest is history. We say the rest is future. We were totally locked in, and I want you guys to know about our first planning sesh, okay? It was in the middle of Chicago O'Hare Airport. There is this restaurant that's called the Macaroni Grill, and I sat down with Charlie on our first trip together. He flips over this little paper menu as we're waiting for our flight, and he takes out this pen, and he just starts drawing a map of what he wants to happen into the future, what the Turning Point organization will become. It was spastic, it was unhinged, it was the absolute best. It was true Charlie. He was a visionary. Charlie was a visionary. If he could envision it, it was going to happen. He knew that, I knew that. And what he had envisioned was for Turning Point USA to become the biggest conservative student organization, not just in the nation, by the way, but in the world. He kind of squabbled and swiveled and wrote that
video where she is showing him so much love and respect. She's basically eulogizing him because they were real friends. But if you want to watch it, hey, it's on her page. But I do want to highlight something from her eulogy of Charlie Kirk. The level of focus and determination he had to build Turning Point USA to what it is admirable. I know there's going to be a lot of people who feel like it was birthed in hate. It was birthed in bigotry. I know there's that crowd. And I'm not here to debate you if that's how you feel. Like, I'm not here to sway you. I don't care. But one thing to take away is just how pinpoint his direction was. He told Candace that we're not going to drink. We're always going to outwork our competition, or not even competition, like people who already exist in the space. Like, we're going to outwork them, and we're definitely going to outwork, like, the Democratic Party or whatever. And she said he was so focused and determined, from an 18-year-old kid to, the 31-year-old man. Like, he never lost sight of his vision. And I didn't know this, but she was like, of course, it makes sense. His hero was Rush Limbaugh. And he's like, he's going to be as powerful of a right-leaning conservative voice as Rush Limbaugh. And she was saying that, like, for example, like, Fox News is still the biggest news media platform in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. And he was like, one rule they had was not drinking, always outwork the competition. And he's like, never turn down Fox News. He's like, this is how we build our name, this is how we build recognition. He's like, if they want us at 4 a.m, if we got something else to do, like, we always accept an invite from Fox News. And he just had a mission. And when you hear somebody who's that dedicated and you see the result of what it was, and then you hear people from other sides plural, not just one side, sides, and they're not willing to put that same level of work in, it's just like, yeah, bruh, there's a reason why Charlie reached the heights he did, and there's a reason why nobody takes this certain person or, takes them as serious, or they haven't built what Charlie built. And I'm saying, this is not about the content of it. This is just about the dedication, the hard work, the effort, the will. That's what it's about. So if you're thinking about building something, anything, just consider it's people with that kind of relentlessness that you gotta compete with. So I just want to leave y'all with that. So I know a lot of people don't want to watch the Candace thing. Hey, I'm just sitting at home, came across the For You page, decided to watch it. But you clearly understand how Charlie built what he built. Like, it's clear. And it was his relentlessness and his clear direction. He knew what he wanted to do, where he wanted to be, and what he wanted to be. And he knew how to get there. And he did it with laser focus, complete dedication, and again, being just relentless.
Then I must be dumb as shit, because I do think Candace Owens is that influential, whether I agree with everything she says or not. The president of France wouldn't be suing a podcaster in Nashville if she wasn't. She's gonna find out everything about this Charlie Kirk assassination. I can guarantee you that. She's already working on it. She is the Black Widow, and her best friend is dead. She's on it.
And I just want to say something to, the people who have never experienced, like, death, not expectant death or death of an elderly person, like real unexpected death, like especially anything involving violence or stuff like that. There are people that are your friends, you consider them your friends, and they are your friends. But once you die, they're gonna find a way to try to use your death to get attention, to make it about them. It's not that they don't care about your memory, it's an innate human desire for attention, and your death is going to receive a lot of attention, and they're gonna find a way to channel some of that attention to themselves or their cause. The fact that Candace Owens is using the assassination of Charlie Kirk to imply that Israel is somewhat responsible, either directly or indirectly, is just to serve her agenda in her campaign against Israel. And it's like, give it a break. Like, at least give it some time for you, and the implications are strong. He was on a spiritual journey. He was about to find this. He was going to wake up and basically saying like, oh, he was going to say something about Israel, and then he died. I've gotten multiple messages in my shit right now with people doing this. This is how you guys do everything. And this is how anti-Semitism spreads. And this is how you guys get it to grow. You create these theories where Mossad agents appear out of the roof and do shit that normal people do. All you have to do is have the will to do whatever you want to do and not give a fuck about the consequences. And you can You can put a sniper rifle in a bag, go to a school, get on a roof and make a 400-foot shot. Yes, you can, because there are people who can make that shot. What stops them is the consequences. Normal people, they think about the consequences, but criminals don't. I know that because I have been there and I have done these things. Like, so when you guys make it seem like the only person that had to be a professional, it was a 400-foot shot. There are kids who go hunting every winter, every hunting season. I don't know when hunting season, I've never been hunting, but they go hunting and they can make that shot. Why does it always have to be some government conspiracy? No, this is the radicalization of the liberal Democratic Party. They are radicalizing, using news media outlets, using all types of fake news, social media, artificial intelligence, bots to radicalize the liberals. And this is what that looks like. They are becoming violent because we're not listening to their delusions. We're no longer indulging in their delusions. Imagine indulging in someone's delusions for 4 years. Someone put on a costume and you tell them you're that person. He's got a Back to the Future costume. You're Doc Brown. For 4 years, he's Doc Brown everywhere he goes. Every store you go, hey, Doc Brown, hey, Doc, where's Marty? Hey, and then one day, no one, you walking and everyone, John, what the fuck you still got that costume on for? John, take that shit off, John. And now you're losing it. And I'm telling you, that's what's happening. It's unwinding because you guys have fed mental disease. You guys have fed mental health crises by basically affirming them, saying, oh yeah, you're right, you are a space alien, of course, you're a fuzzy, of course. And it's just, I just feel like Charlie Kirk died for the freedom of speech and the preservation of the Second Amendment, and you guys are using his death to try to tear down what he did. Even if he could speak from the dead, he would not go against our Second Amendment right, so that we could all protect ourselves, all of us, our freedoms.
Candace called him her best friend. People see it as a rewriting history because friendship isn't just about speeches and selfies. It's about loyalty, honesty, and care. And Charlie's legacy is not one of love or unity. It's one of spreading fears about immigrants, demonizing black communities, and pushing far-right politics.